Hello? Oh, great, it's working. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Manuj Grover. I am VP of and founder of Public Yield Capital. We are essentially a investor outreach platform, and we facilitate, well, if the only thing you remember in this presentation, I would ask you to keep in mind that we want to help companies attract and engage with retail investors, not institutional, not foreign, American-based retail investors. Move this forward. This is me. Let's forward it. So Public Capital we formed 4 years ago. Our genesis was servicing microcap public companies. When COVID hit, we had to do a hard pivot, and we started focusing a lot in the equity crowdfunding space, primarily under the Regulation CF and Regulation A and Regulation D exemptions. And that really accelerated for us to really define who we were and the type of work we do. Originally an investor marketing firm, we realized that just putting ads up in Google, on Facebook, don't actually work effectively. Because not only are you competing against other like equity deals that you're trying to attract investor audience for, you're dealing with Amazon, some widget you want to buy, something you clicked on while you're looking on your Instagram feed, and you have other advertising. There's a lot of substitutes to an equity deal that you could be buying. The average investment's $1,000. That's like buying a brand new fridge. So how do you get somebody's attention? And how do you keep the attention? So where we pivoted to was building out a investor relation platform where our team has the capability of reaching out through either a chat platform, on the phone, email, SMS, and really creating like a customer service type opportunity where any investor can reach out to us or we reach out to them, answer their questions, build trust, and keep them engaged. We worked on, in the last 4 years, of over $320 million in successful fundraising in the equity crowdfunding space and connected with over 800,000 investors. On the public side, because that's where we cut our teeth. And now we believe the things we learned in the equity crowdfunding space really benefit public markets. Like on the screen right here, we're listed up really common issues. And I have these little bubbles of actual things that clients have said to us. And the truth of the matter is, you need to be consistently communicating in anywhere form. And when you do communicate, you need to measure that outreach, get data, and to figure out if it's actually working or not. If you don't, like I can send any message out online, but I don't know if it's been received, if I don't understand what the reaction to it was. If there's no way of getting that feedback back to yourself, you can't optimize, can't improve, and you will not actually satisfy the needs or the interests of the audience that you have. In today's market now, the audience that's online has significantly changed from what it was before. Pre-COVID, we had meetings like this all the time. You had people going around in road shows. Now with everyone who's online and digital, you have a younger and younger audience that's participating in the capital markets. They don't always pick up the phone. They don't always talk to you. So as a result, talking about an omni-channel outreach is where the future is going towards. They have chatbots now that answer questions. I personally am a little sheepish about that. I still think there should be a human being communicating because you can understand tone and nuances. But going digital, being online, and having measured data is where the future is. Spoke about omni-channel before. Actually, I just had a thought. It just a bit blanked right there. In today's market, I believe today in general, most people don't care what you're trying to offer them. Because unless you understand who you're speaking to, who is your audience, how can you communicate them with something that entices them? One thing we've now developed and moved forward towards is actually tools that analyze social media platforms, aggregate public market data, and actually give a score to a microcap company and say, hey, this is what the world's saying about you. It's either good, bad, or neutral, positive, negative, neutral. And then from there, with that feedback, you're able to assess, is your messaging right? Many public companies just said on a press release. Doesn't mean, in some of our analysis, we see a press release is basically taken over by, let's say, MarketWatch as a platform, and just retweeted out or repushed out by a bot. So yes, you're getting your distribution, but it doesn't actually mean people actually read it. And therefore, if they haven't read it, how do you measure from a press release being released and investor engagement to actually impacting your stock price or the volume as a public company? Because at the end of the day, that's why you're pushing it out, to get the attention. So by actually pushing out information, creating an infrastructure of measuring the performance, bringing it back, and then optimizing either through the messaging or the channels that you're pushing out, it's a great way of getting better results. On top of that, for all these years that we've been working in the equity crowdfunding space and the public market space, realized you can't just do a mass outreach and expect results. So as a result, this resulted in us being able to build out our own retail investor community. Currently, we have over 420,000 members in this community from very diverse sectors, from electric vehicles, biotech, health tech, cannabis, psychedelics, mining. And what we're doing now is maintaining that relationship, keeping them warm, keeping them with a relationship on our platform. And if we have a client that fits our profile base, we will then do an outreach campaign to this specific audience, hyper-targeted to, let's say, either 15, 25, or 40,000 members of this community who are interested in the particular type of offering, which could be either through the sector, geographical, ticket size, and then basically engage through there. Measured, smaller, cost-effective, and at the end of the day, you're yielding better results. Thank you very much. Any questions? James.
Yeah, actually, how are you, everything that you built has been built around some of the older technologies. You talk about chatbots, you talk about what you've done with messaging. How do you see data mining? How do you see the confluence of data mining, AI, coming together to help you with the analysis and really targeting, strategic targeting to that investor base to help you increase, I don't know, your productivity, your closing rate? What differentiates you, and how are you going to adopt the newer technologies to make sure that you stay in front of the curve?
Well, in your statement there, you mentioned about closing. So I have to put this caveat out there where we don't close. Reason being is we're not licensed, we're not an investment bank, we're not allowed to give advice. My legal counsel advised us that in any interaction with any investor that we have to state that they have to speak to their either financial advisor or legal counsel for assessing the due diligence of the deal. So I just want to clear that up front.
And then how do you make yourself more effective in what you do?
Interesting, what we've found is that most people don't even call their investors or their stakeholder base. It is so basic that pick up the phone and make a call. They're not expecting it because it's so like everybody, like, how could I say this? Like, our team in the last few years, we've done over almost 250,000 phone calls. And in those 250,000 phone calls, every single time an investor surprised to even receive a call because they were not expecting it. So even though, like I used to say, to stay advanced, you really don't have to have really high-tech technology to do this. It's about doing it in a systematic manner, measuring your performance, and optimizing, getting better as you go, either through the messaging or through the, let's say, the timing, the tactics, the verbiage you use, the type of messaging you use. Now, we do have AI tools that we're integrating into our process to do better data mining from the lists that we receive from our clients, to find ways to identify higher value targets to reach out to first. At the same time, we're integrating these language learning tools to measure the sentiment of a conversation. So, for example, we reach out to 100 investors, have a conversation about them. Rather than anecdotally writing notes on the side, you can use computerized tools to convert it to text, do word analysis, and come with let's say a heat map per se, of what was the tone, what was the messaging, what were the main topics that the investors were talking about, and present it to your C-suite. So then you have basically a micro survey of feedback from your investor base or your investor audience, and then from there, build out a narrative. If there's a negative narrative, how do you flip it to a positive narrative? We provide those information, provide that data to the company, and then from there, they move forward. And then finally, as you say, they're bringing in new tools to stay ahead. There are constantly new tools out there. We have to see each one at a time, test it, and see if it fits in our process. And if it does, then we will use it. Yes, because if not, then we're just like any other service provider. Clients, everybody here wants to measure, like if they're engaging us, it has to be measured, and they want information. It's like, okay, you're calling your investor audience. Then what? What's the point? Are you? Well, I'll give you an example. I can't disclose names, but I can give you an example of how this actually started, and it was one of our biggest success stories that built my business. We were introduced to a client that they were a public company that got delisted, went private, were struggling with raising capital, but they had these lists. And it was all jumbled information. Some had contact information, some not. And what we did was we took it, we aggregated all the information, leveraged our partnerships, found their contact information, and then basically started outreaching. They were struggling raising capital for like 6 months, and in 60 days, we were able to help them hit their funding goals. And basically that demonstrated to us that what we offer, there is a demand for it in the market, and we can yield results. And this happened in 2001, and now it's 3 years going, and we have a business that's, I think, successful. 21, yes, sorry. Yes, sir, yeah, Phil.
I have a question for you. We've had the pleasure of working together, and you've done some great things for us. One of the things that we've had a challenge with, and part of why we brought you in, is using the phone to reach people. Every year, it seems, the contact rate goes down and down and down. You've had some good success with that. What are you doing differently than, say, the average, smile and dial telemarketing company?
So over time, we've acquired just like experience is one thing. On average, our pickup rate is almost 18.4%, which is very, very high. So what we have found is that understanding, first of all, who your target is, timing's everything. If I call you when you're unfortunately, we're all known about those dinner time phone calls, cold calls. I used to do it. My first career was as a life insurance agent. Every time someone get home, open the phone book, give a call. It doesn't work much anymore. So over all the calls we've done, all the data we've collected, we've actually mapped out when are the best times to call. We have built out profiles of the particular targets of investors that our clients are trying to attract, and either be it in our community or let's say the list they provide. We try to map it out, segment the different audiences, and then reach out based on the analytics that we've collected, and so far so good. And also, apart from the phone, because we use different channels, you find that if you're able to get them to, let's say, message them on something they feel more comfortable with, let's say you have millennials, they're not going to pick up the phone. They want to text. If you can send them a text and it comes in a manner that, or in a language that they feel comfortable in and engage with, then you can have them call you back or message you back. So you have to be open to whatever the market's willing to accept as their means of communication. If smoke signals still works, I'll do smoke signals, right? Anyone else? Well, silence is bliss, so if there's no more questions, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And I'll be wandering around here for the next few days. If you'd like to have a conversation, it'll be my pleasure.